These people are mad because you gatekeep your personality. Everybody doesn't get access to you. Welcome to All Things Woman, where we discuss femininity, womanhood, and I give you overall life advice. If any of that interests you, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Today, we are talking about how everybody does not get access to you. You gatekeep your personality, and that doesn't sit right with some people. When you are the kind of woman, and if you've been on the channel for a moment, you might notice that I've been talking about like introversion, quiet people, staying to yourself. There's a reason for that. Give me 1 second. I'm going to allow some of you to come on. These people are mad because you gatekeep your personality. You stay to yourself. Welcome to the live. When you gatekeep your personality, everybody does not get access to you. Everybody doesn't get access to the intimate details of who you are as a person. And that doesn't sit right with some people. Hello from London. Hello. I'm trying to adjust. I have a blanket on my lap because I get cold and I'm in a room with air conditioner. So forgive me if I seem all over the place. I was just relaxing. I was like, you know what? Let me go live. Everybody does not get access to you or your personality. People who tend to be more quiet, more introverted, they gatekeep their personalities on purpose. It's not that we don't have anything to say. It's not that we are deliberately trying to be mysterious. We are very selective. And some people can take that as you being stuck up, you being bougie, or you being arrogant. So that's why I want to get into more detail about this. A lot of the videos I've been doing about this topic, I feel like those videos could have been like an hour or 2 hours long because there's so much to talk about when it comes to jealousy and envy in regards to people who are more introverted, people who are more quiet, and the way some people like to use that against you as if that's a negative. Hi from Louisiana, Pennsylvania, Florida. Breeding grounds for control and fixation. I bet. Being selective shows wisdom. Absolutely. So when people get mad because you gatekeep your personality, it's because you're not willing to show them the intricate details of yourself. You are very selective and you can tell when somebody is up to no good. You can tell when people only want to know things about you so they can try to hold it against you. A lot of the jealousy and envy that women experience, especially those women who tend to be more introverted, it's normally from those people who want to misunderstand her. It's normally from those people who take her quietness, her calmness, her introverted nature as some sign of weakness. That's the number one thing that most people misunderstand about quiet or more reserved women. Before I get into that, I want to make it clear that quiet women, that doesn't mean that you never speak. That doesn't mean that you never talk to people. That normally means that that kind of woman is very selective in the people she chooses to talk to. I did a video earlier about how some people get mad because you don't want to associate with people who have a hood rat mentality. That's really what I wanted to say, but I try to be delicate with my titles. But sometimes I don't care. Sometimes it is what it is. But I do have to watch for the YouTube monetization. So sometimes I try to be delicate with my titles. But I feel like the authenticity of this channel and of the topics, it's not always going to be soft and cushy. You know what I mean? Like a woman who is truly focused on leveling up and focused on maintaining her peace, she stays away from certain kind of people. That's just a fact. And that includes people who have a hood or a valley mentality. I included valley because I don't want anyone to feel like I'm picking on them or this is specifically for Black people. No, I understand that hatery, jealousy, envy, all of that happens in all communities. But me being a woman of color, I will naturally speak from the perspective that's familiar to me. But when I said that, people who don't understand, a woman who wants to gatekeep her peace, gatekeep her personality from those who want to take advantage, It's only common sense that you don't associate with certain people. A woman who gatekeeps her personality, in the perspective of that video earlier about staying away from people with the hood mentality or a street mentality or a rugged and, as we say, ghetto mentality, when you're trying to level up, the last thing you need, and not even when you're trying to level up, when you are just focused on living your life peacefully, as peaceful as possible, you don't need people with their negative and nasty and piss poor mentality trying to clown you for doing something that's absolutely normal. And I said hood because a lot of times, and this is just a fact, a lot of times people who are, they have that hood mentality ingrained into them. So I'm not saying you live in the hood. If you live in the hood, then you live where you live. A lot of women live in inner cities, hoods, rough neighborhoods and areas, but they don't allow that trench mentality to overwhelm them. When a woman gatekeeps her personality, especially in regards to her environment, you're trying to protect yourselves from wolves who will try to use those beautiful qualities that you have and that right perspective against you. Welcome to the live chat. I want to understand her wild misunderstood. Hood, street, yes, all of it. Me personally, I don't like any of it. And I grew up in it. So I can speak to the reason why it's nothing to glamorize. Of course, growing up in the hood, you learn some valuable lessons. You learn the do's and don'ts and what to look out for and acknowledging different setups. And, if you see people doing certain things, you just look the other way because you don't want to see. But nobody should really have to learn those things. Like in a perfect world, it would be wonderful to not know anything about that kind of stuff. But even apart from that, a lot of the jealousy and envy that women get, especially in those type of environments, sometimes it can hinder a woman from being her best self, which is the reason why women sometimes in that environment choose to stay to themselves. If you walk around the haters talking about how much money you have, or you're going back to school, or you're trying to get this kind of job, have this kind of relationship, they will not let you evolve, or they're going to try to make it as hard as possible for you. So when you gatekeep your personality as an introverted woman, as a quiet woman, or as a woman who just wants to protect what she is building and how she is growing, there are certain types of environments and people you just don't want to deal with. No offense, but so if you don't give a F, why are you here? That sounds dumb to me. If you don't care about something, why would you take your time, click a button, and then get on something that you don't care about? It's very clear that you do care, because otherwise you wouldn't be here telling me that you don't care. Make it make sense, honey, please. So these people are mad because you gatekeep your personality. You are very exclusive. Women who are quiet, introverted, and like to stay to themselves, they don't deal with people who have that in the trenches mentality. So if you tell them that you want to do something better for yourself, or I gave the example this morning in that video, you decide that you want to have structure in your life. You don't want a little bit of this or a little bit of that. You want structure. You don't want crumbs from somebody else's table. You want the entire table. You believe that you are worthy of the very best things. People with a jealous, envious, and sometimes street mentality, they want you to feel like you're delusional for thinking you can actually get out of the hood, or get out of a bad relationship, or get out of a bad environment, or you could go to college and better yourself. They do that by way of trying to make you feel dumb when you gauge the issue. This brings me to the next point. A woman who gatekeeps her personality to protect herself from haters, she understands that she cannot share level up conversations, elevated topics, elevated interest with certain people, because they are not equipped to handle it. Keep our pearls from swine. I always watch you. I appreciate you stepping stones. I like that. Yet everybody is not equipped mentally to deal with elevated conversations. If you're the kind of woman that says, I don't want to work for anybody else, can you imagine explaining to a hater, a jealous, envious person, somebody you suspect who has a stuck, my mom used to say they're stuck on stupid, stuck on E mentality, and you're trying to explain to them how you don't want to work for somebody for the rest of your life, you want to build your own thing, or how you want to come out your house and you don't want to see people sitting on your step, you want to be able to just look out and see grass and hear birds chirping and not fireworks. If you know, you know. Good afternoon to the host in chat, Catherine Powell. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here. I love everything. I appreciate that. They're not comfortable with progress. Absolutely. And that was the overarching point that I was making earlier with that video. People who often get very jealous and envious of those who have an elevated way of thinking. And when I say elevated way of thinking, I don't mean that you think you're better than other people. I just mean you don't have a stuck or stagnant way of thinking about life. You see, some people have narrowed down leveling up, being a elevated or high value woman, to the way you look, the kind of style of clothing you wear. All of that is superficial. There are some very classy people. Now, I understand, I believe that the way you dress and the way you adorn yourself, people will perceive you in that way. But it gets deeper than that. When you start speaking about things like, not wanting to depend on other people, like be broke, not wanting to, being in a relationship where somebody actually values you, having friendships that are genuine connections and not a group full of haters and hyenas who try to make life harder for you. When you talk to certain people about those kind of things, they don't understand it because all they know is hyena behavior. All they know is the bare basics. It's like they're used to getting crumbs. And when you're not about that, like you don't want to exhaust yourself constantly just for somebody else. You want your own thing. Poor, I have to say it how it came to me. And I'm not knocking poor as in the monetary sense. I'm talking about poor in spirit, poor in mindset, poor in understanding. When you're dealing with someone who has a poor mindset, poor in spirit, they're going to act like you lost your mind talking about having, being rich or having your own things or having a decent family and circle. Women who gatekeep their personality, a lot of times it's because your dreams, your goals, and the things you want for yourself is way too big for small minds. And women who are not jealous, envious haters, they don't want to deal with the repercussions and the negative talk and the negative responses from people who want to knock them down every time they're trying to do something. Stuck in stagnant, absolutely. Some are so used to chaos that a quiet, private existence seems alien to them. Absolutely. It's a pleasure for you to be here. 7 Gaudy Lady 7. I like that. So these people, they're mad because you choose to gatekeep your personality from toxic, miserable people. Specifically, quiet, introverted women. Some of those type of women, like myself, are often misunderstood, and they will look at you as if, and this is another thing you have to get used to, as if you don't have anything going on, as if you don't have anything going for yourself. This is what makes the introverted woman, the quiet woman, the more reserved woman, so unique. She does not care about flexing on other people. She knows what she's doing, and she is quietly enjoying the fruits of her labor. But to a hater, that will look like you're doing nothing, because you're not constantly chit-chatting about what you do. You're not constantly telling people your next move, so it can appear that you don't have a brain in your head. You're not doing anything much. And now for the woman who is more reserved into herself, you have to constantly ask yourself, what's more important to me? Is it more important to the masses, to a lot of people, that I look like I'm doing a lot of things, that I'm flexing, that I'm doing this? Or is it more important to me in my own personal quiet life to have, for example, a full bank account, a healthy body, a regulated nervous system, a peaceful environment? It's like you can have one or the other, but you can't have both. And truly elevated women who are genuinely, authentically being unbothered understand that. You can have accomplishments, you can have good things, material and spiritual and every other way, but you can't do the flexing. That saying that wealth is quiet and new money is loud, that is true. People who are, as the old folks used to say back in the day, not used to having nothing, they get easily threatened by people who do, or people who carry themselves in that aura of wanting more. And this is not exclusively about wealth, about money, about any of that. It's about a mindset. Women who gatekeep their personality, they only show the fullness of themselves to the people they find who are worth it. The people who actually add value to their life and not make things worse for them. And I could hear somebody saying in the background, why should I have to hide my personality from somebody? You're not hiding your personality from anyone. You're being smart. Wise women understand that everybody doesn't deserve access to you. Everybody doesn't deserve access to what you're doing. Everybody doesn't deserve access to how your mind works, to how you think about things, to how you feel about things. You know, offering up your opinion to somebody who wants to misunderstand you anyway, that's like, self-torment. That's wasting your own time. How can you tell if you're offering up your opinion to somebody who wants to misunderstand you anyway? It's because they will show you that by how they go back and forth with you. A lot of the signs of jealousy and envy from people who want to misunderstand those women who stay to themselves, they don't want to understand you. They just want to go back and forth with you because they get their kicks. But see, women who are not jealous, envious haters and actually have something going for themselves, you don't have time to, as what I believe, cast your pearls before swine, as somebody put in the comment section. We don't do those kind of things. When we understand that, okay, these people are not really vibing with me, they're just asking me questions because they get some kind of kick out of how I'm responding, or they're just trying to be around me because of whatever ill intent, that's when you shut it down. Staying to yourself, that's a beautiful thing. That is not like you trying to hide and being scared. That's you being wise and maintaining your peace. Yes, they Gladys Johnson, welcome. Yes, they target and bully when quietly focusing on you. It's like they sense a quality in you. Absolutely. I believe people who are some of the most miserable, toxic, sometimes jealous, envious people, they can pick up. It's almost like a shark when people are in the water. They can smell that, they can smell the life in the water. They can tell when you are the kind of woman that's not really, into starting trouble. You're focused on yourself. You seem like you have it going on. You have things going for yourself. Sometimes people who are the most miserable, they will deliberately target people who have things going on for themselves simply because they don't. And instead of trying to connect with you on a genuine level, they try to stop you. And that brings me back to the video I posted earlier about when you don't associate with people who have a street mentality. I wasn't saying that to pick on people from the hood. I grew up in what's considered, I don't know if it's still considered, but I grew up in what's considered one of the most dangerous cities in the United States of America. That's where I grew up most of my life. And I am not that way. See, people who choose to target those who want better, they do one of two things. They absorb the environment and start glorifying filth, glorifying things that do not make sense because they don't see themselves as doing any better. So seeing you have a good job, seeing you have a good relationship, seeing you be in that, confident but quiet energy, that's triggering for them. So these people are mad because you gatekeep your personality. Everybody doesn't get access to you. Another thing that jealous, envious, miserable people will do, and it's so high school, but this is something that you need to be aware of, especially in regards to this kind of conversation. They try to pick at you about everything that does not matter. Some of the most successful people I know, and some of the most successful people in pop culture and culture in history, they don't look like money. They don't look like, how can I say, they don't look flashy. They don't look gaudy. They don't look like overdone. They're just there. I think about like when Oprah started, and I think about, even though I'm not feeling him like that, but Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, and this is not about how I feel about the people on a personal level. It's about the way they present, the way they look. These people don't look like much of anything. Now, Oprah, she has style. She has beautiful hair. But back in the day, she just looked like an aunt, somebody's nice auntie speaking with wisdom, being entertaining. I give you this example to say, when you are not the kind of person that looks like an aesthetic, people are not going to take you seriously. Those who are superficial in nature and they're not truly leveling up, they're not truly, as they say, getting it how they live it. They're trying to maintain an image while you're trying to be happy in real life. You're being wealthy in real time. You're making lasting connections in real life. You don't care about the flexing. You let your work, your personality, the way you treat people speak for itself. Some of the most favored people do not look like all of this extra stuff. Now, am I knocking looking the best you can to the best of your ability? Absolutely not. I love to do my hair and have light makeup and wear beautiful dresses. It's not about that. But people who are often jealous and envious, and they get mad because you gatekeep your personality, sometimes they think they know you when they really don't. I like that song from T.I. I listen to it often when I'm working out. You might have seen me in the street, but you don't know me. Like, you might have hollered when you speak, but you don't know me. Yes, I'm rapping. Welcome. You are here in the debut of my rap album. I'm going to make a mixtape next. I probably could really write music too. But I say that to say, yes, you might have seen me in the street, but you don't know me. I speak, we're cordial, but you don't know me. I'm just being goofy right now, but it's like, really, a woman who chooses to gatekeep her personality, to keep those important things to herself, it's because she knows that the moment she starts opening up to certain people, that's when the psychological warfare starts. That's when people start trying to hit you with the mind games. That brings me to the next point. Women who gatekeep their personality, their accomplishments, the things they have going on, they don't have time to allow people to play psychological warfare or have mind games with them. What do I mean by that? Quiet women, introverted women, women who tend to stay to themselves, they don't openly, willingly open themselves up to the thoughts and opinions of so many other people because they know that haters are out there. This comes back to your environment. If you're around women who are doing the same things you're doing, or at least they understand what you're doing, then you don't feel the need to like hesitate and say, yeah, I might open a business, or I might go part-time in my job so I can focus on my business. You don't have to hesitate because they get it. They get it. But certain people, certain personalities and mindsets, they hate on people who want to chart their own way. And I'm only using this as an example. You might not have any desire to be an entrepreneur or do your own thing. You might just want to exist in your skin in peace and look cute doing it. Some people can't even receive that if you start telling them too much. That's the reason why, and I know some women, they're good for asking other women, what do you think I should do with my hair? Or, what should I wear? Or how should I do this? Unless you understand and know that you can value that woman's opinion, don't ask her that. Because if you're not confident enough as a woman, you'll be dressing however the haters will decide you're supposed to. They'll have you looking like who did it and why, because they can't handle you at your best. I will literally like drop 10 pounds out of nowhere, not say a word to anybody, just start going extremely hard. Because for what? It's the element of surprise. That's another thing. Miss Money Make 86. Girl, I went from a 4 9-hour shifts to 3 12-hour shifts. And look, because you made life easier for yourself. People often get jealous and envious of those women who like to make life easier for themselves, as if they can't do it too. When you choose not to absorb all of the thoughts and opinions of other people, it's because you're choosing to make life easier for yourself. Some people will try to look at that, and this is where those manipulation tactics come in. Oh, you think you're the only person right? You think you know everything, this and that. You don't know everything, but you do know when somebody's a hater or when they have a piss poor mentality that's going to hold you back and you don't have time for it. If you afraid to do everything, why in the world would I run my plans by you? They'll have you sitting there shaking in your... So these people are mad because you gatekeep your personality, your accomplishments, and your plans. You don't open yourself up to everybody's thoughts and opinions of you. This brings me to the next point. When a woman decides to stay to herself, she is more quiet. She is more introverted. She is more, just in her bubble. You're in your circle. People will try to make you feel as if you're abnormal because you don't have a big group of people around you. Now, there's nothing wrong if you genuinely enjoy having a whole bunch of people around you. Wonderful. But for many women who tend to stay to themselves, they will tell you that life didn't start getting better for them until they got quiet and to themselves and maybe had a select few people around them. Some of the time, having a lot of people around you, when you are opening up your personality and the way you think to so many people, to the wrong people, sometimes that will hold you back. And women who are genuinely trying to live as they say, softer life. And I like softer life content and the concept, because as women, this is a little bit of a sidebar in real time. As women, this is just how I see it. We were not meant to live life in the trenches. Like, we were not meant to work at the sweat of our brow and to always be weighed down with life. I think women were meant to dilly-dally. Women were meant to be able to rest and be at ease, especially during those delicate times of the month. I believe that as women, we were meant to live a more soft existence than men. That's just my 2 cents on that topic. But with that being said, when you are that kind of woman, possibly that kind of woman who does not want to be weighed down, be it physically or mentally, you start gatekeeping your personality. You don't want to give people the impression that you're willing to take on a lot of disrespect, a lot of nonsense, a lot of endless amounts of work, or just doing things, being how people want you to be, and not really being true to who you are as a woman. I got into it with some people at my job because of this change. It was insane to me, but I'm happier and less stressed. And that's all that matters. Can you imagine people actually being upset because of how you make your money and how you want to live your life? It really has no effect on them. But see, when a woman starts just making moves for herself, you're not including extra people in your daily decisions. That also sparks their jealousy and envy. That's because you've added mystery. When a woman decides to gatekeep her personality, her accomplishments, and the way she operates as a woman, it's that mystery that some people cannot get over. It's like they're always trying to figure you out, but never can. If anything, people who are miserable, jealous, and envious, they don't know how to mind their business. This is another reason why women tend to gatekeep their personalities. Yeah, gatekeeping your personality, it doesn't mean that you think that, you're better than other people. It doesn't mean that, limiting or not giving everyone access to you. It's not like you're treating yourself as if you're a celebrity or some kind of star, but I'm going to say it exactly how it's coming to me. You should treat yourself as sacred. If more women treated themselves as sacred, they would not deal with a lot of the jealousy, the envy, the negativity from other people. Some women are way too loose when it comes to who and what they allow into their lives. And the thing about quiet and introverted women, we understand this. A lot of times you have to go through a lot of life experiences to see that having too many people around you all of the time is not in your best interest, because it's only a matter of time before the wrong people sneak in. This is where wisdom and discernment comes in. Joe McKenzie, people act like women having a personality or own will is somehow unheard of. So no, it's not unheard of. Listening to you while at work, I appreciate you. But to that point of women having their own personality, in this day and age, when people are trying to be carbon copies of everybody else, I can say that is a rare jewel. To see a woman that is choosing to gatekeep her presence for her own protection, that is rare, because a lot of women, and this is also what separates some women, especially those who are introverted or choose to stay to themselves, this is what separates you from the pack, because you're not desperate for the validation of other people. The real flex is feeling accomplished, feeling beautiful, feeling successful, even when nobody is really like constantly clapping for you. The less people you have clapping for you, the more accomplished you are normally. See, this is one thing I had to realize. People will support you in mediocrity, okay? I just have to say it how it is. If you are one of those people, or we're one of those people who say, just give me a little bit of crumbs, I'll be okay with that. People will sprinkle a little bit of crumbs your way and you'll be happy, they'll be happy, and everybody is happy and in community. But the moment you say, no, I want better, or I don't want to be connected to toxic, miserable people, I'd rather distance myself from those people I've known for years, because I'm noticing that they're toxic. I'm noticing that I have to suppress my personality when I'm with them. I notice that I can't really be my best self around them. I have to coddle their feelings and their emotions. I have to act like the things that are important to me are not that important because they can't handle it. Women who are more introverted and now stay to themselves, normally you have to go through those kind of things. That gets you to the point of gatekeeping your personality, your accomplishments, and the way you live your life. Not all money is good money. Yep. Absolutely. I want to speak on that, having to suppress your personality. Earlier in the live, I was discussing about a video that I posted about women. You know, you don't want to be around people who have a hood mentality. You don't want to be around people who have that street or in the trenches mentality. Some of the most kindest and sweetest and nicest women, sometimes they feel like they can't really show the fullness of their personality because of their environment. If you have lived in a rough neighborhood, a rough city, then you understand what it feels like to feel happy, to feel some kind of joy, to want to express yourself in some kind of positive way, but to be looked at as if you are a coward or as if you're soft if you crack a smile. See, when you are around rough and rugged and overly masculine women, if you're around people with that miserable hater energy, your personality is always going to be suppressed. I know what I'm talking about. You might be smiling on the inside, but on the outside, you got to wear a mean mug, or else people are going to treat you as if there's something wrong with you. See, the older and more mature a woman gets, the less she wants to suppress those parts of herself that come natural. You don't want to have to hold back a smile because you're going to have somebody looking at you like, you don't want to have to hold back. I'm just going to wear this jeans and t-shirt because if I wear my sundress, they're going to say I'm trying to be European. And who has time for that? I live in Chicago, born and raised, and it wasn't no joke. Absolutely. So glad you caught a live too, Minister Carlisa. Appreciate you. Women who choose to stay to themselves and gatekeep their personality, it's because they're tired of suppressing their personality. You become more selective in the people you choose to communicate with, the people you choose to be friends with, the people and certain family members you choose to be around, because you don't want to have to walk around like mean mugging and have a grill and, you got to look angry and mad all the time, because the people you're around don't know how to accept a joyous expression or a smile or kindness. It's weird, really, but let them tell it. You're the weird one. Why you got your hair down? Why you always care about your nails? Why you always with your man? Stuff like that. Because I like being loved on and going shopping and getting coffees. I mean, little things. But these things are little, but if you're not careful, they can have a major impact on how you carry yourself as a woman. Being in the wrong environment, NYC, New York is in the live chat. Being around the wrong people, that can absolutely cause you to either be repelled by them or you just become like your environment. There are some women who admit, I'm a really kind person, I'm a really sweet person, but I had to develop this hard exterior. Otherwise, people were going to bully me. So gatekeeping your personality from certain people, it's almost like a way of you protecting yourself from people who don't deserve to see those intricate parts of you. I've been quiet, got voted quietest person. I keep out of trouble and from people want to know your business. Gloria, yes, you are so welcome. And that actually brings me to the next point. Women who gatekeep their personalities and those parts of themselves that they deem as so important and valuable, it's because you don't want people in your business. Women who decide to stay to themselves, you've often experienced the consequences of having too many people in your business. When you are dealing with people who are miserable, they might have that jealousy and envy towards you. They can take a minor situation and make it a major situation. So these are often your people who you might have thought you could trust them. You confided in them, for example, about a relationship issue. Let's say you and your man, you had an argument, bad argument, and you feel like I'm done, I'm over it. Sometimes as women, a little bit of a sidebar, in the moment we can be very emotional, very over it, but it's not really that big a thing to like end everything. We're just in our feelings. When you confide in jealous, envious, or miserable people, they're going to convince you or try to convince you to go all the way off the deep end. If you say you're upset because your man does not help you around the house enough, they will try to convince you that maybe you need to get a divorce. That don't match. Maybe he's lazy and you need to just let him do his own thing, but that doesn't match. You get what I'm saying? Or like your job, good paying job. You get paid every week. You got paid time off, benefits, and everything else. You might have had a little situation where, your manager critiqued your work and you didn't like how they said it. They'll try to convince you that it's all these other things because they envy the fact that you have a job anyway. See, people who are mentally unstable, emotionally unstable, have that jealousy and envy towards you. When you start gatekeeping the things that are important to you, you start knowing how to assess situations on your own first, and then you decide who you may talk to about it. So if you know that, okay, the job is not bad like that. This is one day. A bad day is not a bad life. People who are jealous and envious of you, they try to convince you that a bad day is a bad life. It's normally because they have a bad life. So knowing the difference as a woman, just being more mentally and emotionally mature in that way, that can save you from some of the sabotage from jealous, envious people. Not allowing them to play on the natural progression of your life and the things you might be naturally going through to try to make you, have a life that is bad like theirs. That is something that you have to be on the lookout for. In other words, when people are jealous and envious, they want to bring you down to where they are. And it might not be that bad for you. You're just having a bad day. But to a hater, it's like they perk up. Like when you say, me and my man had an argument. You had an argument? Really? What was it about? You had a bad day at work? Really? What was it about? Are they about to fire you? It's almost as if they perk up at the bad news. So I say all that to say, when a woman starts gatekeeping her personality, her life, the things that are important to her, it's because you're trying to keep the wrong people out of your business. Your channel has helped me a lot and not feeling alone. I'm black sheep in my family and my boyfriend is the scapegoat as well. You know what? I cannot pronounce your name, but it ends with 622. I appreciate you and I'm so glad that you're here and that this is helping you. You're not alone. A lot of people are the black sheeps of their family. A lot of people are misunderstood. A lot of women who choose not to let everybody into their life, into their business, are misunderstood simply because you're protecting yourself. Psalm 35:20, for they speak not peace, but they devise deceitful matters against them that are quiet in the land. Absolutely true. I stand by that scripture 1,000%. If you were messy, and nobody's perfect, okay? We all have our things. Nobody's perfect. But if you were open and vulnerable, more so to their attacks and their sabotage, people would love you. It took me a long time to get comfortable with allowing people to think whatever they want to think. Years ago, I used to post pictures of myself and my husband on my Facebook and Instagram. I used to always have a lot of pictures of us and the kids and things like that. But then out of nowhere, I just stopped. Not because I'm ashamed of my family, because that's another thing that miserable people will try to say and convince you of, but because I realized certain people don't deserve to have all the details of what's going on in my life. I don't care if you think we're not happy, we're boring, we're not doing this, we're not doing much. I don't care. God sees, we feel it. It's all happiness and joy. And I'm using that as an example of like when you're not constantly showing to the world everything that you're doing, it's easy for people to assume that, oh, they must be having problems. The kids must be acting up. They must be broke. Just because shopping trips are not advertised does not mean they're not happening. And, it's weird. Just because, I'm not posting, going into work, don't mean people aren't working. It's those kind of things. You might be wondering, well, how will people know those kind of things? They know. And how they act when they do see you, they know. Looking for clues, like a Blue's Clues game. I forget how the song go. My kids used to love that. Blue's Clues, Yo Gabba Gabba, Thomas the Tank Engine. I know I just went off left, but if you've been here any amount of time, they be looking for clues. I forget how the song goes. I said it correctly. Okay. Your channel has helped me too. I'm so glad, Sonia. I'm so glad. So these people are mad because you gatekeep your personality and the things that are important to you. When you start realizing that everybody doesn't deserve to have access to your life, this is when people will start assuming you think you're better than other people. I've heard this one, and, I was surprised because in my thoughts, I'm very humble. In my thoughts, I am very, I love all people. I love and give all people grace and mercy and love until you give me some reason not to. So when I heard that I thought I was better than other people, I'm like, me? I'm like, I do my own nails sometimes. Like, what do you mean I think I'm better than other people? Like, I literally do my own nails sometimes. Like, how am I better than other people? Like, up until recently, I was like going into a job. Like, what do you mean, little old me? Like, I think I'm better. Until I realized it's not about all those big, lavish things. It's about the mindset. When you don't have the in the trenches mindset, when you're in control of your emotions, your mind, your spirit, in other words, you gatekeep your spirit, you gatekeep your emotions. People can't just send you all topsy-turvy with their negativity. You think you're better than other people. Transparency. Years ago, what is this year? 26? Years ago, maybe like 10, 12 years ago. No, more than that. When I was in my 20s and 20s, early 30, mainly 20s, I was the kind of person that I never said that I wanted to fit in with people, never said that. But I was trying to not stand out too much, I just want to go with the flow with people, just go with the flow. Don't make too many waves. You say a little something, then it don't bother me. Hey, that's just how you are. Until I started realizing how you are starting to mess with my mind, how you're treating me and the company I'm keeping starting to mess with my spirit a little bit. So when I start realizing that, okay, I can't continue to be around these kind of people or allow them to talk to me in this way. In other words, I started becoming a more sovereign, more, kind of independent woman in that sense. They don't like you. When you start gatekeeping your spirit and your emotions, your mental health, you don't allow people to play games or have you, what's that song back in the day? Emotional roller coaster? Vivian something. Like emotional roller coaster. I'm not going to sing because I don't know how to sing like that. But you know the song. I used to listen to it all the time. Emotional roller coaster. Vivian Green. You're not going to let people have you on an emotional roller coaster. And this is not just relationships intimately. Family, friends. Like, I shouldn't have to be around you and worried about the passive aggressive behavior. Like, what do you mean by that? Why are you acting this way? It's like when I turned 32-ish, 33, it's like something in my brain clicked and said, I don't give a flying fig tree. It's like something clicked in my brain and said, They don't need to know everything. It's none of their business. If you don't care like how I'm doing this, my father had a saying, oh so classy. If people don't like what you're doing, then buck them. BUCK. But switch out the B for an F. My father was very blunt, is very blunt. He's still with us. I just adopted that mentality out of nowhere. And then when I matched that and I looked for me personally, from a spiritual perspective, I started seeing, if I'm a servant in the Lord, how can I please people too? It's like it all started lining up. Like, girl, you've been doing too much. Like, don't nobody care about what people think. Your feelings are valid. Your thoughts and emotions are valid. You are just as important as the next person. That's the reason why you hear me say that a lot on this channel, that you're just as important as the next person. Because for a long time, transparency, I didn't realize that. I know it's weird to say it out loud, but I didn't realize that. Exactly. I'm existing and suddenly I'm better. Absolutely. It's because you realize I'm just as important as the next person. How about that? Who says that? Evelyn Braxton, Tony Braxton's mother. She'd be like, how about that? Look at God. Because look, I'm just as important as the next person. When you start carrying that confident, bold, I know I'm just as important as the next, your feelings matter, but mine's do too, then so be it. Then it's like, oh, we don't like you. You're not tiptoeing around our feelings? No. You're not dumbing it down to make me feel good? No. You're not suppressing your personality so that I can feel comfortable with you? No. You're boring. That's why you can't understand a smile and a nice joke here and there, because you take yourself too serious. Ease up. Remove the stick. Can't please people, not here for that. Absolutely not. I'm C-Bones 409. Yeah, and full disclaimer, as a woman, as a person who has class, who has grace, who is kind by nature, you want people to like you. Nothing wrong with that. I don't think any person walks around saying, I want to be disliked. I want to be misunderstood. I want to be able to gatekeep my personality from people. I don't think any human being walks around thinking that. I mean, there are some people who look, the way they act, it appears that they want other people to dislike them. But no person really walks around saying, I want to be disliked. But if in order for people to like you, you have to act like you're absolutely nothing, I'd rather have you dislike me. If I have to act like I'm just in your shadow for us to be friends, I'm good. I appreciate you, or fill you in. I appreciate you. So these people are mad because you choose to gatekeep your personality. Everybody doesn't deserve to have access to you. Everybody doesn't deserve access to you. Everybody doesn't need to see that quirky and bubbly side of yourself. Was it yesterday? The other day, let me grab this bag. On the computer, I'm reaching that way, but it looks like this way. It's so odd. But everybody doesn't deserve to see those quirky personality traits. It's July, but I went and I have a pumpkin. I went in the dollar store for something, and they had the fall section ready. So I grabbed my pumpkin. It's cute. I grabbed my leaf LED lights because I love fall. I don't care about the summer. I'm done with it. I'm over it. I'm ready for the fall. So I got my LED lights. I got 2 of those. I got these for my kitchen. pumpkin pound cake recipe. I'm gonna hang this in my kitchen over my little coffee sign. I'm just showing you this. There's a reason behind it. Other than the fact I wanted to show y'all this because it's cute. This says pumpkin spice season is here. Absolutely. Pumpkin spice season is here in July for me. I love fall. I was born in the fall, September. This is what I'm about. And let me see if I can reach this other stuff. Did I rip it? Oh, no. I got this. I'll pick that up. So you'll probably see this in my background at some point. And there's some other stuff in there too. I show you this to say, sometimes your personality can be so chill that people who are always pent up with this rage and hostility, they don't know how to take it easy. Like a hater will say, she corny. That's so corny. Like, who cares about that kind of stuff? It's July, hot girl summer. If that's your thing, wonderful. But sometimes being different. And no doubt, thinking about fall in July, that makes you different. I'm making the overarching point that when you start gatekeeping your personality and who you are and how you are as a woman, you want to just be. You don't want to have to explain to people who want to clown you or try to make little side comments and jokes about why you want to buy pumpkins in July. You just want to vibe with the people who say, I get it. Even if they don't like fall, I'm not saying you got to like what I like, but let me be. If I'm in the store with my friend, my good girlfriend, and she's looking for hand towels and I see a pumpkin in July, she's going to let me be. She's going to say, oh, that's cute. Like, she might say it's early, but I'm going to get my stuff. She's going to help me carry it to the car. And we had a good time. You want to be around people who allow you to just be. And one of the things that jealous, envious, miserable people don't know how to do is to just let people be. It's like, if it don't make sense to them, then it don't make sense. For me, I am the queen. And again, we live in a world where you can agree and disagree with whomever and whatever you like. There are a lot of things I do not agree with. But if it don't pertain to me, then I'm not worried about it. I don't celebrate and or engage. I focus on myself. I gatekeep my pumpkins. I'm focused on pumpkin lattes. Yes, IKEA has some cute fall items. I'm actually going to go to IKEA, I believe, this Sunday. We were talking about it. Thank you very much. Nice. I went to plant nursery with a friend today. She gets my quirks. Absolutely. I'm wondering if I could actually grow like gourds and pumpkins in my backyard. Now, I live amongst wildlife, so I'm afraid to kind of grow pumpkins out of fear that, raccoons and skunks and everything else will get to it. But that's not going to stop me from trying. So I don't have time for people who try to start stuff. Latoya Cunningham, absolutely. People just like to start stuff. When they are miserable and they don't, this is going to sound a little corny, but when people don't really have that gratitude, they aren't really grateful or thankful for anything. They can't find not one thing to be happy about. Sometimes they want to spread that misery onto you. And this comes with environment, as I spoke about earlier. A woman who gatekeeps her personality, her peace, her joy, you find things to be happy about. You get joy out of little things oftentimes. And that's another thing that people, they envy that. They want to be able to be happy about a pumpkin, about some lights, about going to get your coffee. Women who are not miserable and focused on other people's lives, we get joy out of little things. And we're not too grown up or too grown woman to let our hair down, so to speak, and just enjoy the simple things. Thank you very much. You need to write a book. What you are saying would help so many people. Sonia Hoskins, I appreciate you for being here. I actually have 4 books. How to Be a Feminine Woman, The Blueprint, Girl on Girl Wars, a book on jealousy and envy amongst women, How to Detox from Toxic People, and I also have How to Be an Unbothered Woman. That is the latest book. I do want to write another book that's actually in the works. I want to write a longer book, like a thick book that you can just like read for the fall season. I'm working on that. But let me tell y'all, okay, my attention span when it comes to writing, I love to write, but my thoughts and my fingers and the typing and writing, they don't link up sometimes. So sometimes I get overwhelmed when I have so many thoughts and the idea of sitting there at the computer and writing out everything that's on my mind. It's a lot. I'm a one-woman show. So bear with me when it comes to the books and other things, but I appreciate you. The first person that did not make sense in the comment section. We've been doing good. First troll. Hide user. Awesome. So these people are mad because you gatekeep your personality. You don't need to constantly explain how you are and who you are to other people. You don't feel that necessary when you decide to gatekeep those things that are important to you. Thank you so very much. Jamie Jackson, hey, welcome to the live chat. I appreciate you for being here. We are talking about how you understand and people get mad because you gatekeep your personality. Quiet, introverted women like to stay to themselves because they realize everybody does not deserve access to you. Let me text my daughter and make sure she got the chicken out the oven. Allow me one moment. I'm like multitasking. I'm like, I put the chicken in the oven. Let me go live. Text the daughter. Check. Is the oven off? My wrap looks sideways on here. I don't know why. And he's on the way. Okay, honey. Absolutely. Your peace is valuable. There's a verse of scripture that I believe, it says, seek peace and pursue it. Ever since I started recognizing that I am just as valuable as the next person, I seek peace more in my life, through my interactions, through my time spent for me, my time spent with God. That's most important to me. For me, having that foundation, that really stabilizes you mentally and spiritually so that you're able to come up against these toxic energies, miserable, all types of people, and be unbothered, truly. Thank you so very much. I just feel like it's crooked and I'm like, I don't want to move it one way or the other. And next thing you know, it's like, okay, it looks a little more straight now. If people only realize that we are all meant to shine, they stop trying to put out someone else's light. Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up because that brings me to the next point. When you realize that you are just as valuable as the next person, you start gatekeeping your personality, your peace, your existence even more because you are okay with shining. For a long time, I was convinced that allowing my light, so to speak, to shine in front of the world was being conceited or being arrogant or being prideful. And I can say a lot of this came from taking scripture and allowing other people to give me spirituality out of context. Now, this is probably, and I'm not going to speak on this for a long time, this is for more so my spiritual girlies, my women who are more spiritually grounded. When you allow people to give you spirituality out of context, it can have you feeling as if you're supposed to think you are nothing. For me personally, as a Christian, for a moment, just for a little moment, I had that mindset of not be seen, not be heard, fade off into the background. As a Christian, you just supposed to be there, not really making much of an impact. Don't really show too much, don't have too much of a personality. Don't focus on looking good because that's not important. Just be there. So I was really understanding my spirituality out of context. When I start realizing that, oh, you were meant to shine as a light in the world. The Proverbs 31 woman, she clothed herself in purple linen. She worked of her own fruition. She had maidservants, and her husband was respected in the gates. She looked out for others as well as her own household. When you start realizing that God tells you to shine as a light in the world, to be an example of me in the world, you can't do all of that while you're hiding. You can't make an impact in the world when you don't say anything and you just allow people to walk all over you. Yeah, I have to address this, Minister Carlisa, because while I am not a minister, preacher, none of that kind of stuff, but as a Christian, I feel like some of us as women spiritually, we look at that as, okay, I'm a Christian, so me being cute, I can't worry about that. That's not important to be cute. I got to serve God. You know you can do it and still look cute too, right? You can know, your hair can be done and you can still love the Lord, right? You can still have an opinion about something and still love God, right? You don't have to you don't have to agree with everybody, right? So I had to come to that realization that, you know what? Really understanding from a spiritual perspective, number one, the way I see it, really knowing who God is in the right context, it makes you more bold as a woman. It makes you not afraid to be seen, to be heard. Now, the quiet and gentle spirit, of course, you exercise that and it takes a load off of your plate. It's like, now I'm not trying to fight out here and be this independent, I got to prove to people. I know who I am. I'm in alignment with exactly who I'm supposed to be. So I'm going to let my little light shine in the world and look cute doing it. I'm going to make sure I keep my temple together for the best of my ability. I'm going to be that helpmeet to, if you're a married woman, I'm going to be that helpmeet to my husband. Absolutely. He's going to lead because I have no desire to do so because I'm resting. I'd rather take a nap. I'd rather get dinner ready and let him do all that hard stuff. I know that don't sit right with some people, but I'm not saying that from judgment. I'm saying that because I used to be a he-ra, she woman, don't care how you look. I just love God kind of woman. For a minute, I was going that direction. And then all of a sudden that wore off and it's like, girl, what are you doing? Sit down. What are you doing? Go get your hair done. When you pray, you got your head covered, get those pretty wraps. You can look cute. Go ahead, do that. Get your nails done, be it real or fake. Do that. It's okay. Looking like the bag lady don't make you less or more holy. I know that might come as a surprise. Laugh and show your personality. You don't have to be monotone or stoic in order to be seen as a serious Christian woman. Thank you, lady. So it was really letting go a lot of that. That was like, okay, now I'm in the word. And this is not spiritual message. This is just because for a lot of women, this is a hindrance too. Because they have some people in their life that's trying to convince them, if you were really a woman of God, you wouldn't even care about money. If you was really a woman of God, you wouldn't care about all that stuff, your looks and your hair. That's a lie. Me wanting to eat well has no bearing on my spirituality. That's another reason why women tend to gatekeep their personality, especially if you're a spiritual woman, because some people truly don't understand what true spirituality is. When you really start getting serious with your walk with God, You gatekeep that because you don't have time for people telling you how you're supposed to be. For me, I literally look in the word. I look to my husband because the scripture says that. I trust his judgment and how he is, but he is not gatekeeper over me. I turn to God for myself. Look, some women are being, I just have to say it exactly how it's coming to me. Some women who say they are spiritual are absolutely boring and odd and easily manipulated, and y'all allowing yourselves to look silly. Y'all making us look bad. We don't sit there and iron our husband's clothes for the side chick meetups. Christian women don't do that. I had to say it. Sorry, I had to say it. Y'all making us look bad. We play no games. Where you read about ironing your husband's clothes, so God told me to get my husband's clothes ready to see a side chick. When I heard that, I said, I don't know what God you serve, but the God I know would have had me laying into my husband. I don't know what you know. Are you serious? Out here saying, I wear my natural hair. Just because your hair is natural does not mean you still don't have to groom it. You can still have straight parts and have it looking nice and moisturized, even if it's natural. I'm not saying it got to be laying flat, but you can still give care, tender loving care to that natural hair. You don't have to wear a lick of makeup, but you can still walk out the house and not have crust in your eyes in the name of the Lord Jesus. Okay? You can still run a toothbrush through your teeth, get the floss, the tongue scraper, and just do all of that and smell good, minty fresh, and look barefaced. You can have a handbag that is not falling apart, whether it comes from Burlington and or Chanel, and look good. $20 Ross dress or a Saks Fifth Avenue $300 dress. You can still make it do what it do within reason. Any woman from a spiritual perspective who says she loves God, you want to be a good representation of your father, right? And before y'all come for me, yes, the tattoo. I got this tattoo when I was 18 years old. It says Exy with the S in the front. That's the way I felt when I was 18. And that's the way I feel right now at my big old age. But it's for my husband only now. Sometimes it shows, sometimes it don't. Sometimes I try to cover it. Sometimes it just shows. I'm not worried about that, okay? So I just wanted to get that out the way because I feel like we can't have this conversation about gatekeeping your personality and not get into the spiritual perspective. Because there are a lot of people, a lot of women, they get jealous and envious of other women who are actually living the life, not trying to keep up an image, but living the life. How do you treat people? How do you treat yourself? How do you carry yourself in your day-to-day? I appreciate you, BPG Ministries. I got 6 tattoos. God don't judge. You know, I would not sit down in somebody's tattoo parlor now and get a tattoo. Absolutely not. But I was 18. I'm 40. I mean, I don't know what to say. I'm definitely not spending money to get it lasered off. For what? It serves its purpose in marriage. Let me stop. I feel like I'm saying too much. But, you know, these people are mad because you gatekeep your personality. Everybody does not get access to you. When you gatekeep your personality from a spiritual perspective, I'm going to stay on that for a moment. It's because you don't have time for all the other voices telling you you don't need to focus on this. Focus on this when you're older. I actually had people, and this goes back to dealing with people in certain environments. They want your mind and your head filled with nothing but the street, nothing with pop culture or some kind of drama. Even if you're not spiritual per se, but if you focus on valuable information, morally speaking, you just like to keep your mind sharp and, knowledgeable of different things. People will actually envy that. They don't like the idea that instead of filling your head with a lot of nonsense or being around people who want you to be caught up in everybody else's business, you're focused on giving your time to spending time with God, spending time in your studies and your books. You might like studying different hobbies and you just like to stay educated. You always like to learn. There will be people who will say you're a nerd or a clown because you do those kind of things. Tending to your own business will always be the wiser option over being in other people's business. You know what I mean? It's like for some reason, people who have a negative mentality and they're easily triggered and jealous of other people. If you are the kind of woman who loves to learn, I like to learn. I have a lot of books. I write books. I have a lot of books. I am a content creator on YouTube, but I also watch YouTube videos even before I started the channel. I'm 100% the earth angel that you and everyone else. We got another one. And you can tell when people are disconnected spiritually when they assume everybody is a tarot reader. They assume everybody is a psychic or a tarot reader because they're not accustomed to people just speaking with wisdom and knowledge. They assume there's some abracadabra happening. That's not me. So these people are mad because you gatekeep your personality. You don't have time for people trying to suppress your intellect. I'm just going to say it how it's coming to me. Some people want you to be just as dumb as doorknobs because the less intelligent you are, the more people can get over on you. The less wisdom you have, the more people can mess with you. That's another reason why some people don't like when people stay to themselves, because you're now filling your mind with something that is not their negative, toxic, miserable voice. When you're allowing positive things to be imparted into you, like watching positive YouTube channels, spending time with God, I'm reading educational books, I like self-help books. I write self-help books. For me, from a spiritual perspective, scripture is my foundation, but I also read other books. As long as they're not out of alignment and they're offering me something good, I read those books too. I love psychology. I love reading psychological books. I subscribe to Psychology Today. I love that kind of literature because I like to fill my mind with things that will help me and things that I find fascinating. Imagine trying to explain this to a hater. Their only form of entertainment and hobby is to put other people down. Their only form of entertainment is to see who they can start problems with. You're not going to vibe with them. Absolutely. They want to overlook your intellect. A lot of women deal with that kind of thing in the workplace. Don't be too smart around your haters. They'll try to clown you because you use big words. Like, oh my goodness, I didn't know perseverance was still considered a big word. That's some of the words. That was like one of the first big words I learned how to spell in like middle school. No, actually elementary school. I'm not going to spell it now because I'm talking a lot. So you ain't going to catch me slipping. Absolutely not. You're not going to catch me slipping. But I say that to say it's petty. Being different from others in a good way causes distance from those who don't desire better. Absolutely. And that even connects spiritually. See, what I love about the conversations we have on this channel and what I speak on is that I'm starting to realize more and more that there are spiritual aspects to what I talk about. I never want to throw something at you that is just pure superficiality. Pure, like, I'm better than them. Like, I'm pretty. So, because while I did like 3 or 4 videos about pretty privilege, those things are real. But deeper than that, you being a class act as a woman, you being well rounded spiritually, mentally, and you add that physical component, you're like a powerhouse. And that does nothing but make you a target sometimes for the wrong people. The more you elevate as a woman, the more you need to gatekeep your personality. The more you need to gatekeep the things that are important to you. Those type of people are not the kind of people I care to be around. Not at all. April Walker, welcome. You can also recognize haters because they try to stay connected to people, talk to behind your back, and create drama between the two of you, meddling in your business. It's very petty and unfortunate that there will be some people who don't even desire to really get to know you in a positive way, but because they are so envious of how you're moving, they just try to form some kind of connection with you, if it be through somebody else. Gatekeeping your connections, that is very important. What is that? Friend of a friend? When you are the friend of their enemy, or they're a friend of your enemy. Now, I don't believe anybody is that important where it's like you have an arch nemesis, not checking for anybody in that kind of way. However, somebody who chooses, somebody who you think is your friend or close to you, and they choose to form relationships with people who don't have your best interests at heart, that's suspicious to me. Absolutely, it connects. My daughter just turned 21. Wonderful. My son turned 21 too. And she is learning these things. I try to remind her of these things and empower her to be herself as long as she's not sinning. Absolutely. I've had that conversation with my daughter too, and I believe she gets it. You don't have to fit in with everything that's going on. A lot of the things that are popular today are not beneficial. As I said earlier, and it's in alignment with the whole gatekeeping your personality, trying to flex on everybody. When you are truly, a woman who has things to lose, like you really start adding value to your life. And I'm not just speaking monetarily, but let's not pretend monetarily. That's a big part of it too. When you start elevating in your finances, when you start elevating in your spirituality, you're taking your life with God more seriously. When you start elevating in how you care for yourself, your looks, the way you take care of yourself, you're going to have to gatekeep more. Because some people will not allow you to comfortably elevate around them on a superficial level, which I don't really think is that superficial. When you start really focusing on how you look as a woman, there are going to be certain women, they're going to look at you and start saying you're doing too much. When you start choosing, like for me, and I might be giving y'all too much of my secrets, but it's okay. When I decided that, you know what, I'm getting older and I don't want to look sleepy. So I'm going to start wearing a little concealer. I'm going to start wearing a little concealer here and there because I don't want to look like I'm barely there. Genetics, getting older, being sleepy, having low iron, all those things. Sometimes I have a little, bags under my eyes. Sometimes they're more pronounced. Sometimes they're not. But I say that to say when I started saying, girl, they got something for that. go get you some concealer. So I started wearing my concealer and was like, oh, I look, there you go. There she is. That's just what I do. When you start doing those things that enhance your beauty because you want to bring your best self, even if you're comfortable with bags and everything else, but you just want to present your best self. There will be some women who say, well, I don't worry about those kind of things. I'm not afraid of getting older. I'm not afraid of this. Well, girl, you go ahead and not be afraid. I don't be afraid. Who sung that song? It was on the New Jack Swing soundtrack. The Juice soundtrack, Don't Be Afraid. Was it Aaron Hall? See how quickly I get sidetracked? Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. And, that song. I like those songs. I'm still trying to get it out of my, mind. But old school R&B, that's my thing. So it just made me think of that. Back to the point. I'm not afraid to look older. I'm not afraid of this. Well, you go right ahead, but I want to look alive when I go out in public. Now, are there times when I'll go out and I don't put no concealer and the bags might be bagging? Absolutely. And she's still cute. But I just, I prefer that. I'm giving you this transparency to say, even something as minor as that, when somebody envies the fact that you just want to keep yourself together. Yes, don't be afraid. Aaron Hall. I knew it was him. Music is powerful. Sidebar. That song, I Miss You, I had to stop listening to that because I'm like, why am I tearing up? I don't miss anybody. My husband is upstairs. My kid, I don't miss anybody. Why am I tearing? Especially when it gets to the part, when I lay down at night, all I do is cry. I'd be like, oh. I'm like, I don't miss nobody. That's why I stopped listening to songs like that. Music carries. I'm just speaking on a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but stay with me. What was I saying? I don't want to look not here when I go out in public. So yeah, little things like that. You start gatekeeping your beauty secrets and the things you do for you. I mean, I told you all, but you probably already knew that anyway. But I started wearing concealer like up until like the age of like 35-ish. I didn't really do much of anything to my face other than like a little eyebrow pencil. And then I started doing a little bit of concealer and lip gloss. And that's about it. I stopped wearing eyeliner because I used to use the wooden eyeliners, like the eyebrow pencil. And all it took is for one little piece of wood to get my eye. I was like, that's okay. I don't need any eyeliner. I've started wearing concealer more lately, especially when it's too hot for other makeup. Absolutely, and I'm not a makeup girly, really. Some people, especially spiritual community, makeup is false way. I get all of that. If God takes that desire to not wear makeup completely away from me, so be it. But in the meantime, I have to look alive. I found this channel when I was being bullied by some other women in the church. I kept coming back because you were spot on. I didn't do anything to them. That is so disheartening to hear that you were being bullied in a church. People who you think would know better, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes their body is in the building, but God is not in them. They're still works in progress, or they're choosing to be whatever. That's unfortunate, but I'm glad you found the channel and the channel is helping you. No, that video was so sad. Which video? Facts. Music is very powerful. And when I say certain things, an old song will pop up in my head like what you just did. Yes. I mean, I was, and this is sidebar from our original point, I was and still am from time to time. I grew up in the 90s. So I was a big like Jodeci, SWV, Escape, As Yet, After Seven, Tony Braxton, 702, Chub Rock. 4th of July just passed. Somebody was playing that. And I'm like, Suddenly I had a vision of red cups, you know. I'm like, God, forgive me. I had a vision of red cups. It brought me back to my childhood. Red cups and the makeshift grill. You know, the one in the country, they would make a grill out of cinder blocks and put the grate on there. So yeah, I heard Chub Rock, you know, treat me right. And I'm like, you know, even my husband and little bop. So it's like, we're human, you know. Luther Vandross, absolutely. Tina Marie. My son will tell you to this day, when Square Biz come on, he's like, that's my mom's song. Because I work out to old school music, you know. Sometimes if I'm feeling random, I'll just turn on YouTube in my living room and start working out and get a nice sweat. And there we go. So, I mean, we have freedom. I feel like I'm free in that way. Okay. I don't endorse certain lifestyles and all of that, but I have a personality. Like, I'm human. Like, I don't know what to say. I wish I could walk out to hymns and old spiritual songs. I can't lift to wade in the water. I don't know what to tell you. We never get in the 90s music again. Absolutely not. Bruno Mars kind of has that vibe. What's that song that he made with the guy that wears the it's on the tip of my tongue. I don't know how we got on music. Yeah, I'm like an old soul in that way. Ghost Town, yeah, my love is the, you know, I used to listen to Jay-Z and all that. Who else? We'll backtrack on that one, but let's get back on track here. You gatekeep your personality. And you see, even something like that, there's always a theme or a point to what I say. Even something like that. People who want to put you in a box, they're going to say, I thought you were a Christian. How do you know about that music? Because I wasn't born under a rock. Because I'm human. Because it's a bop. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going out to the club listening to this music, but, you know, I hear it in the grocery store. It might be on my iPad. You know, I work out. Now, I'm not just listening to that in my spare time. I try to get out of that. But when you gatekeep your personality, you don't have to justify things like that. God will deal with me the way he deal with you, and everything will be dealt with in its time, if it needs to be dealt with. Mary J. Blige, absolutely. My boo. Oh, goodness. I used to hear that song all the time. At night, I think. Oh, gosh. I can't even get my voice that high pitch. I have that more deeper, like, raspy kind of voice. Now, I can sing like Boys to Men and all that, but, you know, if the music is clean, I'll dance. Absolutely. See, for me, I always, like, get the clean version of music. Like, even the song I was telling about earlier, T.I., You Don't Know Me, I have the clean version. Yeah, I always do the clean version, but, I mean, we can't unhear the words that are being said, you know. Nonetheless, these people are mad because you gatekeep your personality. When you stay to yourself, certain things don't need to be explained, you know. You don't have to explain your humanness to people. And that's a wonderful thing. And the people, like even my husband, he is like more, how can I say it? I'm grounded, but he's like, he used to listen to music. He don't listen to none of that. He don't have a desire for any of those kind of things anymore. But he leaves me alone. You know, I look to him as my example. You know, everybody's different. As we are, we have a Rolodex of music in the back. Absolutely. I think any millennial has those Rolodex of music in the back of their mind. Now, certain music, I like deliberately train myself to not bop to. Like, what are the Juvenile song and all that? I have to like stand straight. Like, don't you dare. Don't you dare. Like, that does not honor God whatsoever. Backing that thing up, we don't do that no more. Not in public. Not for other people. Ever since I cut negative people from my life, I'm very happy. Absolutely. And, of course, you're not going to be able to, if you live in the world, you're going to experience negative personalities, people who are going to try you. And of course, the more quiet you are as a woman, the more sometimes people will look at you as if, you're a target to be tried. I posted a video earlier about how some people look at quiet people as if, okay, they're like weak and all these different things. You're not that. You're exercising self-control. A woman who knows how to gatekeep her personality and shield her emotions so that she's not getting herself into all kind of drama and issues, that's strength. If you're not a subscriber, like and subscribe to this channel. I don't know what you're waiting for. Get the books, How to Be a Feminine Woman, The Blueprint, Girl on Girl Wars, a book on jealousy and envy amongst women, How to Be an Unbothered Woman, How to Detox from Toxic People. All Things Woman has a Cash App. Now, I am not the one to be on YouTube or any other platform dry begging, but I appreciate you all's Cash Apps. She don't need to beg for nothing, but this is work. And if you all ever feel so compelled to send me a Cash App so I can get my coffees and my teas and, settle my mind while I'm doing these videos, I appreciate you all. So my Cash App link is always in the description of a live, of a video, in the channel description. I appreciate you. Become a channel member. There are a lot of videos, exclusive videos just for members. And I'm going to start doing some more member-only chats. So if you're not a member, do that also. Absolutely. That's the way I see it, Latoya Cummings. And I was getting to this point. When you start gatekeeping your personality, your life, and the things that are important to you, women will start to look at you as if you are a threat. The jealousy and envy that a lot of women experience from other women, it's normally because of how you carry yourself. You treat yourself as sacred. And the women who are superficial, the people who are superficial, they will think it is all tied to looks. It is not. There will be women, and I'm not saying this to be any kind of way, but I've been in situations where a woman is standing there beside me, scantily clad, barely anything on, tons of makeup, and she's holding her man ever so tightly. It's not about that. Sometimes it's your aura and just how you are as a woman. If you have kindness and graciousness about you, you're going to have people who are attracted to you. I've gotten the stink eye. I've gotten cussed out. I've gotten nasty and rude remarks because a woman came into a store I was managing and her man was being too kind to me. To fully covered, head wrapped most of the time, me. To painting my own nails, a lot of the times, me. I say that to say, when you are the counter opposite of what some people are used to, when they just have the aesthetic, but they don't have any class to back up what they are, they will start seeing you as a threat. When you are the kind of woman that you might have all of the accessories and the beauty, you might have beautiful hairstyles and beautiful dress and everything else, but you add to that a charming and feminine and beautiful personality. You carry yourself with grace, class, and dignity. You'll have other people's men trying to walk off with you. And I know that wasn't a good thing to say, but that is a fact. This guy in my store, when I was managing a store, he looked like he was asking for help to get away from this lady because she was speaking to him in such a rude and nasty way. Now, I don't know if he was a Dusty. He very well could have been a Dusty. Even still, that gives her no right to act the way she was acting in public. And even with seeing his kind of dusty, lackluster behavior, I still give respect to people because they're people. A woman who has class and decorum, you have to gatekeep yourself, because you're going to have women out here who are very threatened by you. When you are not just an aesthetic, when you are not just a big bundle of weave, when you are not just a big ball of makeup and hair and nails, but you have substance underneath of all of that, you're going to have haters. And that's when you need to start gatekeeping yourself even more. And for my girlies who are spiritual, and for women who want to misunderstand, the comment I made about having somebody else's man walk off with you, you are not in the business. I am not in the business of trying to get in somebody else's relationship. What a lot of women don't understand, when they come off overbearing, masculine, and very negative and nasty, that can be a turnoff to a man and to just people in general. You're allowing somebody else to look good to him, to anyone, because of your nasty behavior. So a lot of times women get jealous and envious of other women and start mistreating them, because you have those wonderful, beautiful qualities that their makeup, that their mascara, that their nails and their bundles cannot compensate for. That's why you need to start gatekeeping yourself. They will get jealous and envious of you, even if you don't have half of that. But if you have a decent personality and charm, you're a threat. And when you start becoming aware of that, you start gatekeeping yourself. It's almost as if you walk around with a shield that says, you don't have to worry about me. You don't have to worry about me. And I said that in that way because sometimes when you don't gatekeep your personality, or you don't gatekeep those parts of yourself that are important, that are delicate, that are valuable, they'll start thinking you're on the same level. Or as they say in the hood, that you're on the same type time, when you're not. You could probably care less about being appealing to somebody else's husband, to any man for that matter, but to a woman who is insecure and automatically takes out her insecurity on other women, you simply being in the room will bother her. God says, vengeance is mine, I will repay. Absolutely. Brianna Sabir, 7546. What about the men who hate women that are like this? What do you mean? Can you give me more detail? What do you mean, what about the men who hate women that are like this? Do you mean the men who hate women who are more reserved and classy? Because if you're talking about men who don't like women like that, then we don't worry about men like that. We don't focus on men who don't like classy women. We don't focus on men who want to deal with women who are rough and brash and want to be controlled. A man who wants his woman to talk to him like he's any common guy in the hood, he's a feminine man in my opinion. But that's for another video. We don't worry about them. Exactly. Latoya Cummins, exactly. We don't worry about effeminates, that kind of way. We don't worry about that. And this just came to me. Gatekeeping your personality is not about being afraid of confrontation. I just don't want women to have a problem with me, so I'm going to gatekeep my personality. No, it's not about that. I can guarantee you, if you're in your 20s or maybe even 30, and you find it cute and cuddly to constantly be in little tiffs with other women, I promise you, as you get older, that stuff is not going to be appealing to you. You will not want to have any association with petty and silly arguments. It just comes out of me, but there's a scripture that says to abstain from foolish and petty arguments. You have no desire to even partake in those kind of things. I remember being in a dollar store, Dollar General, and I was walking by, and a lot of people were walking by. It's early in the morning, and most of the people who walked by me, they looked over, smiled, or just waved, or just gave a little smile or smirk. Then this woman walked in with, I guess, her husband or a boyfriend. They walked down the same aisle as me, and she rolled her eyes. And I'm looking at the same stuff they're looking at, and she's sitting there, and you could just feel that negative energy radiating off of her. And she keeps looking and trying to get in the way. So the 20-year-old me might have stood there and been like, she going to get out of my way because I'm looking at the same thing too. So I don't know what you want me to do. This me walked out of the aisle with the quickness because my energy is too precious. Like, you know what? I want to be able to look at my coffees in peace. So I'm going to wait until her and him leave, and then I'll come back and take my time and browse through the coffees. Now, if I really needed to get something, I'm not going to just walk away. I'll go ahead and get what I need and leave. But I say that to say, protecting your energy and that inner peace becomes more valuable than proving a point and going back and forth with negative energy. It's like if I pick up on that like rah-rah, I'm just like, okay, I'll come back, or I'll walk the other way, or I'll get in the other aisle, or I'll do whatever. I just don't have time. A lot of times it's spiritual. These entities know who you are. And I believe that too. We are deeply spiritual. We have souls and things like that. So I believe that too. But yeah, I just don't allow myself to be exposed to it. It's just like, as you get older, that need to prove that this is my territory, how big and tough, like, you just don't care. Like, you got it. Like, if you want authority over the coffee aisle, go ahead. Now, it's not like that all the time, because if I have to do what I got to do, then you have to get out the way, period. It depends on the day, I pick and choose my battles. More times than not, I just walk away. I'm maintaining that calm aura I came in with. Now, if I really need to do something or get something, you're just going to have to whatever. Absolutely. Lady Reed 75. I appreciate you so much for being here. I truly believe that. Right? Because the wolves be ready to attack. Absolutely. The level of aggression from miserable people is astounding. It's like they really walk out and say, like, I have nothing to lose today. I don't mind having an altercation. Like, who does that? Not today. Look. And this is another thing as women, especially if you find yourself being more spiritual. Before I leave out the house, I ask God to help me to be kind to everybody I come in contact with, to keep the enemy far away from me, and help me to wear the armor so that I'm prepared to deal with whatever the enemy throws my way. So that's literally my prayer a lot of times, what I ask God to help me with, to not be overcome by evil, but to overcome evil with good. I say all of that daily because it's real out here. You don't know what you're coming up against. And only people who don't really gatekeep themselves completely, utterly, spiritually, mentally, and physically think they can go out here wide open and be okay. I want to be protected on every basis. Protect myself spiritually, protect myself mentally, protect myself physically. In every way, I'm protected. Another way you gatekeep your personality from people who are miserable and they don't like it, they don't understand it, is because you choose to stay out of certain situations. Now, there are certain places that certain people just do not go. I remember, and this is where the whole you think you're better than people started. Somebody back when I never really went to clubs like that, but I would go out and about here and there. And people would invite me to like these little like dive bars, like hole in the wall hood bars. I'm like, I'm not going there. Like, no, what is that? I'd rather go to like a lounge, a restaurant, bar, lounge kind of thing. Like, I like to go to elegant places, like more elegant, more refined places where it's still controlled. Like, anybody can't just walk in there. There's a dress code, or you have to look or act a certain way. There's some kind of code of conduct. Like, I'm not just going to these random places. When you have a standard for where you go and what you do, that is when you need to start gatekeeping yourself more often. See, gatekeeping yourself is saying that I might like the Popeyes in this neighborhood, but I'm not sitting down in there and eating it. I'm going to drive up to the window or walk in off hours and get my chicken and leave. And I know that might sound funny, but when it comes to gatekeeping your personality, gatekeeping yourself, you start choosing to do things more strategically. There was a situation that happened with one of those rappers, Ice Spice. She actually got accosted by a woman in a McDonald's while she was having breakfast. If she was gatekeeping her presence more closely, she would have taken her McDonald's to go. But instead, she tried to sit down like she's regular. And let's be real, being popular, famous, a celebrity, you are anything but regular. And she tried to sit down in this establishment in some neighborhood in California and be a regular person. And this hater approached her. I say that to say, when you start gatekeeping yourself, as in you do not go into certain spaces and places, there will be certain people who try to clown you because of it. No, I'm not going to the cookout in certain places, certain parks. In Camden, there was a place called Camden High Park. And back in the day, certain hours, you just don't be going there. Like certain hours, you don't go. So it's like when I was growing up, okay, after this amount of time, you don't go to those places. I don't care what event you're having, I'm not going. You won't see me there. Even in certain places, if there are a lot of people there, it depends on the type of people, the type of environment, what they're doing there. No. I heard someone say in a video before, if there are too many of us there, I'm not going. I hate to say it, but I agree with that to an extent. I like diversity. And in every nationality of people, Anderson .Paak, yes. The one who sang that song with Bruno Mars, Leave the Door Open, or I Had My Door Open, or something like that. That sounds like back in the day music. That sounds like some heat wave. That sounds like Gregory Abbott kind of music. So that's kind of like, and that's not even 90s. That's like the 80s. I'm sorry. I can literally continue a conversation that was happening like 30 minutes ago as if it just started. Sorry. But yes, Anderson .Paak. But yeah, I'm not going. I like diversity. I like a mixture of people. If there are a lot of us around and we're refined and know how to act right, then wonderful. But let's be real. Depending on the event, a lot of times that's not how things are going to go down. So yeah, even with that, I'm mindful. If it's too much this, same. Depends. Now, I like going to a certain beach where it's like, it's a sprinkle of us and mainly whatever. And the vibe, the ambiance, I love it. I like diversity. I like calm environments, period. Whoever's there. But we're not going to act like sometimes things can get active, So you start gatekeeping where you go. Yeah. It's an unfortunate incident that just happened. And this is a little bit of a sidebar, but still on point with the message. An unfortunate incident that just happened. His last name, or I think his first name, was Nolan. It garners the question of, is it safe to be the only Black friend? Is it safe to be the only person of color amongst the friend group? And they show different images. Now, I'll be real with you all. Because I do this kind of content, I don't really take part in a lot of the media, like watching the news a lot. Other than what I talk about and discuss on this channel, I don't like to overwhelm my mind with a lot of these things. It's like I talk about what I talk about here, and then I'm focused on the Golden Girls. I'm focused on Frasier. I'm focused on anything lighthearted. I'm in the Word of God, or listening to the sermons, or listening to music. I got to balance this stuff out because this is heavy. What I talk about on this channel, while there's tidbits of like funniness and all of that, it's heavy. So for me to keep my mental to where it needs to be, I have to balance this out with lighthearted things. So I'll watch dancing TikTok videos. You know, I've been on the people recreating the dances. I love dance. I love music. So I focus on those things. But I came across the story about Nolan. He's no longer here. And a lot of people think it's tied to the fact that he was around certain groups of people. I would like to pinpoint this on certain colors, but it's not, because this happens in all communities. But, and this was a young man, so I'm not really using this as an example of anything he could have done differently. But the older and wiser you get, you just start gatekeeping yourself more. You don't feel less or more safe with one person over the other, because all people have their things. You could be in a room full of Black people and not feel, or in a room full of Europeans and still feel the same. To me, there's no difference. Gatekeep your surroundings. It's about safety. And everybody has their opinions on it. I'm not going to dive too deep into that. But that does have a lot to do with Maud, with gatekeeping. Maud, that is my show. Her and Walter and her daughter. What was the daughter's real name? What was her name on the show? As of lately, I've been watching In the Heat of the Night. My kids know when you're, I got trouble. But you hear that, you already know Mom's watching Heat of the Night. She got her blankets. You will not be watching anything downstairs. You have to go upstairs and watch TV. That's been my show as of lately, watching The Heat of the Night. Even that can be graphic, but it's that nostalgic feeling. Watching shows like that will have you getting mad about things that are not even happening now. I'll be like, boy, did he call him a boy? Like, wait a minute, this took place in the 80s. Okay. Half of these people ain't even here. Don't get mad. I have to check myself. Don't get mad. Don't go outside looking at people different. The Heat of the Night will have you take me to Sparta. Take me to Sparta and see if you say that. I would not have survived in Sparta. I got trust issues. I'm not going nowhere. I don't trust nobody. And it's unfortunate. A lot of us say we don't trust nobody. We don't trust anybody. But we trust people. We're just selective. When you go to get your car's tires done or get your car service, you're trusting that person. When you go and when I do Instacart, you're trusting that the people are not doing anything to the food. So we trust people. God doesn't want me to be paranoid, but you just within reason, Now I have thrown some stuff away that I've Instacarted because if I don't hear that pop, if I don't hear the pop or anything, even though more times than not, it hasn't been tampered with, but just for my mental, I'm I'll just throw it away. If I don't hear that pop from a drink or a honey or something like that, it's okay, I'll throw it away. Althea was smart, but sometimes she would say things that had me looking at her sideways. She told him one day, she said, a more confident, a more secure man wouldn't have me home. She said, what did she say? If you're not going to do it, I'll find a man who will. What woman can say that in real life and not have a whole argument? And Virgil just looked at her like, she pretty much questioned your manhood. She said, whatever you won't do, another man will. And she said it with a smile on her face, but that was kind of disrespectful. And you just was like, that's not realistic. Like, I think we would have been arguing. Like, I don't know. So Althea, I kind of like her character, but I didn't. I'd rather go on a trip by myself, vacation by myself, no group. Me too. I feel that way. Maybe one or two people I can trust in the heat of the night. Absolutely. Yeah, Althea actually, she said a lot of stuff. Like, I was cooking one day and my husband was watching it and he was like, you got to see, you rewind that. And I'm like, we can't rewind it. It's on TV. He's like, okay, well, you got to YouTube it and see what she said. She says some things that's like, I don't think it's going to go down like that in real life. Adrienne Barbeau. Yes, she was the daughter from Maud. She was like a really good daughter. Like, she was like that take charge daughter. And I like that there was no like inappropriate way between her and Walter, because you know, some of those 70s sitcoms, they'll have the daughter being inappropriate towards the father, the stepfather. It was like very like, it was really like a decent comedy, but still had that edge to it. Dorothy Spordak, B author, a bit B author. I loved her in that show. Welcome to the live, Marina Life. The overarching theme here is about how you have to gatekeep yourself from certain people, but we've dived into music, old sitcoms, everything. If you're still here, I appreciate you all. I am probably going to be going live more often. I just believe we can just talk about more things in detail, because if I really get into the videos the way I want to, I'll have like an hour and 2 hour long videos. So I think going live is going to be better going forward more often, but I'm still going to be doing those videos. So be on the lookout for that. But gatekeeping your presence. Yeah, it's not going to go down like that in real life. I think you'll have an argument on your hands. Not saying that Virgil, you know, he was a little dismissive. Like, don't just smile at me, say something. Like, don't just smile at me, say something. He was good for like, it's like, say something in response. Like, don't just smile. Like, what are you going to say? Like, okay. These people are mad because you gatekeep your presence. What time is it? Sometimes I have to remind myself that my children are older, so they don't need me to run and do certain things the way I used to. So I can just kind of take my time and just be. But it's a mother kind of thing. If you're a mother, you know exactly what I mean. Watching older shows does put you in a better space. It really does. You know, I believe that, you know, sometimes when you like, and this is a little bit of a sidebar, sometimes when you're going through like some heavy things, for me, it would always be spiritually, you know, going to God first. But I think we have certain things to enjoy, so you're not just sitting in that heaviness. You know, we all have our moments where we feel down, or we feel a little heavy, or we feel a little blah. And turning on a nice nostalgic show. I mean, watching shows like Maude or Golden Girls. What's the other one I used to watch a lot? Roseanne. I used to watch that show so much because she reminded me of a Black mother, even though she was not Black. That show was like one of the best. Her and Dan and the way she interacted with the kids. I love that show. So I used to watch that. 447. Thank you very much. Yeah, Roseanne, Maude. I watched Golden Girls so much that my husband bought me the DVDs. Yes, she texted me and said that she turned the oven off and took it out. So we're good with that. Because, you know, I don't want the chicken to be underdone or overcooked. I don't like dry out chicken. So she's on top of it. Thank you. It's okay, Latoya. Yep. Yeah, Roseanne and Jackie, that dynamic. I remember the episode of Roseanne where Jackie was dealing with DV from that guy she was dating. And she was in Darlene's room changing her clothes, and Darlene noticed the marks on her back. You want an example of a masculine man and how masculine men act, especially back in the day? Look at Dan Connor. Now, he ended up being a dusty towards the end, but we're talking about Dan Connor in the prime of the show. This man, he didn't say no words. Roseanne told him what happened to Jackie, and he just simply got up and handled business. That is masculinity. Am I condoning doing that? Absolutely not. But for that kind of behavior, if you saw that episode, you know what I mean. That's like masculinity on display. Okay? One day at a time. That's kind of like up there with Facts of Life and all of that. I didn't really watch those shows like that. Was that the one with like Valerie Bertinelli and all that? I'm like you with the King of Queens. Yes, King of Queens. I still watch them pretty much like every night. I like Carrie. My husband normally compares me with Carrie sometimes. And I'm like, I'm not like her exactly. Like which Carrie? Carrie from the older seasons or from the newer seasons? Because the ones in the newer seasons, she's kind of rough. I mean, I have my moments, but she's still sweet. Yes, Dan played no games. And that's a wonderful thing. The original point, if you are new here, it is not about sitcoms. It's about gatekeeping your presence. But you see, because I'm like a teacher, even in this, there's an overarching message. These things we're talking about, I'm 40. A lot of women here might be younger or older. Who knows? But if you're a woman in your 20s and your 30s, and you're talking about you sit at home and watch reruns, and you just enjoyed your space, enjoy your rent or your mortgage, there will be some people who try to clown you because instead of being out in everybody's business or getting into trouble, you're in the house watching the heat of the night. You know what I mean? Like, let me grab this real quick. You're at home with your blanket, with your cup, watching in the heat of the night, or King of Queens, or old reruns, maintaining your peace. Okay? Staying out of everybody else's business, but they can't stay out of yours. People try to clown you over the most simplest things, Mama's Family. That was a show I was forced to watch as a kid, and I started watching it as I got older. Vent and his wife, I don't know if his name was Vent or Vincent. She used to call him Vent. Like she just dropped the ENT. So she called him Vent, I call him Vent. And his wife, she was kind of like flirtatious, like I forgot her name. But yes, I don't watch Mama's Family so much anymore. But my mom, she used to watch those kind of shows. My mom will watch Mama's Family, Laverne and Shirley, Happy Days. I'm like, what are we doing here? She used to watch, what's the other shows she had me watching? She had me watching the stories, of course. My dad would be at work. She would watch Young and the Restless, Bold and the Beautiful, As the World Turns. I still watch Young and the Restless and Bold and the Beautiful. I have the Paramount app, so I catch up on the stories. Anybody here watch the stories? We're being human, okay? We're being human. Do you watch Bold and the Beautiful or Young and the Restless? I have the app because my hours I used to work, I couldn't see it during the daytime. So I had the, Paramount app. I remember I was watching the stories on my lunch break at my job at night when I used to work at night. And one of my coworkers walked by and was like, my mom used to watch that. I'm like, so what are you trying to say? Why are you referring me to your mom? Comparing me to your mom. Andy Griffin, she used to watch that. Taxi, I Love Lucy. Yep. Little House on the Prairie, I just can't get with that. I don't understand it. It moves too slow for me. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. But I'm not knocking those who do. So yes, even little things like that, it just allows you to take your mind off of the real world. You know what I mean? I'd rather see what Brooke and Ridge and all them doing than to worry about what Susie and them up the street is doing. You know what I mean? And I can still mind my own business and do what I need to do for myself and my family. Only tea I want is the tea going on in Genoa City. One Life to Live in General Hospital. I used to watch General Hospital for a little bit. Sunny Corinthos, Carly. What's the other one? She used to be was she the Princess of Monaco? No, her last name is Monaco. Lord. Kelly Monaco. My cousin used to give me a hard time because I didn't want to be out drinking and partying. Never cared for the stories. Hey, it's okay. You don't have to. Yeah, a lot of people, some people don't, some people do. For me, like I said, it's exciting. Like, I actually cried for Sheila. I'm like, Sheila, if you watch Bold and the Beautiful, especially back in the day, she was like a super villain, She did a lot of bad stuff to a lot of people. And now she's like acting human and wanting love and connection. Deacon cheated with Taylor. See, y'all got me ready to start a whole segment on just TV shows. Or maybe I'll start a whole YouTube channel about TV shows. Because that's something I'm interested in too. I got to figure that out. Most of the people I knew were obsessed with stories, though including my mom. Yeah, I'm not obsessed with to the point that I'm not getting life done. Again, what's this, 4:55? So I didn't watch it earlier because I was working. I was making content, and then I went out and did my little dilly-dally. But tonight, probably around 8 o'clock, I'm going to lay down and catch up on my stories. Yes, Victor Newman. He's still kicking Phyllis. I love her character. And what's the new stories that are out now? Now we're just talking, okay? If you're still here, I appreciate you. The new stories that are out now, what is it called? It's the all black stories now. It's all black people. Beyond the Gates. There's one character that the Quartermains, yep. I've taken a liking to. Leslie on Beyond the Gates. I like her. She's like real sassy and like her hair. I'm like, okay, my hair can do that in the fall. Like if I train my hair to have bangs in the fall, I can have my hair that way. I love her character. She's like that very like sassy, like suspicious, like auntie. I'm feeling Beyond the Gates. Talk shows, there are no good talk shows anymore. I used to watch like once in a while Dr. Phil, Oprah, when she was on, I would catch up on the old episodes. Sometimes I'll still look that up, and still get things done. See, a hater, miserable people will say, I don't have time to sit around watching stories. I got to get my coin. Did you know you can do both? Did you know that your bank account and your belly can be full and you can enjoy your TV? I had somebody try to, I don't know if they're trying to be smart. I don't have time to watch TV. I can't stand the people who think they're so much more important than other people because they don't watch TV. Good for you. Good for you. If we're going to pay for internet and cable and all these other things, why not watch it? See, one of the luxuries of not feeling like you need to keep up with other people is that you can just do what you want to do. You can watch TV. My food is cooked. Everybody's eating. Bank account is doing what it do by the grace of God. Spirit is full. So let me see what's going on in Genoa City. Is Jack still recovering? House clean or somewhat tidy, Jenny Jones. Wow. Moonlighting and Heart to Heart. So those are more 80s shows. Court shows. Yeah. Judge Joe Brown. Who's the one that always call people a C-head? I can't say the word because of the YouTube algorithm. Um, Mathis, Judge Mathis. He was good for calling somebody a C head. Oh, Ricky Lake. She's actually on TikTok. If you all have different topics you want me to get into, anything I haven't spoken on, I know I've been talking about quiet people a lot lately because people tend to be vibing with that. It's relatable. But what would you like to see me talk about next? Like what topics? Look, if there's enough interest, I may talk about old sitcoms and music. You know what I mean? I might talk about that. So if you are not a subscriber, like and subscribe to the channel and make sure you share this content so that you are aware when I post a brand new video. Yeah, Judge Judy was a hot mess. Self-care and balance. Now, you know I have a second channel called Soft Strength Society. Over on that channel, I mainly talk about those kind of things like self-care and balance. I will leave the link to that in a community post. So that way, if you're not a subscriber to that channel, you should become one. Because I love those kind of things. But over on this channel, we really talk about like jealousy, envy, how to maintain your confidence, even when you're dealing with people who don't want you to be confident. Get the books. How to Be a Feminine Woman, The Blueprint, Girl on Girl Wars, a book on jealousy and envy amongst women, How to Detox from Toxic People. And I appreciate your gifts, your cash apps, and all of that. If you watch this video until the very end, leave the high heel emoji in the comment section. I'm going to wrap this up and get ready to relax, have some dinner, get ready for Hubs to come home. And yeah. Who's had issues with each other? What beefing? Mathis and Judge Judy. Oh, Judge Joe Brown. Judge Joe Brown has fallen out with a lot of people because he says some controversial things. I don't really pay that much attention to Judge Joe Brown, so I don't know what he said. But yeah, that's their business. Any topic suggestions you can leave in the community posts. Links to the books are always in the community posts. I also do one-on-one coaching. So I don't have a formal setup like with a website and all of that just yet, because when I do things, I don't want to like just have something up there. Like I have a Canva site where you can book appointments with me. So if you ever want to speak to me directly through Zoom, we can have a Zoom chat. There is a cost attached to that. Any coaching calls through Zoom, there is a cost, but I do coaching sessions. So if you want to have a one-on-one with me, that's an option. You would just email me at that email link in the channel description. Have a good evening. Yes, but I do one-on-one coaching. So that's something that's available to you. I'll leave my email address in that tab. I also do something called email correspondence coaching. So one of my clients that I deal with, she doesn't really like to do on-camera kind of coaching because she has a baby. She has an infant. So she actually sent me her questions and concerns. And the way it works is that you allow me one whole day to respond per item. So per topic, I will give you my advice, give you my suggestions based on whatever the need is. So we can do email coaching as well, where I will send you a printout of my advice, of my encouragement, of different suggestions. Okay. So that's always an option. Everyone stay strong, you as well. But I'm going to end this. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And until the next one, take care.